Summary of Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. Baba is buried at sea by Zili and Sane. During the ritual, Zili has trouble using her magic because she keeps having flashbacks to the day Baba died, when she accidentally brought magic back to Orsha, not just for Maji like her, but also for some lords who are now called Titans. With the help of the rogue Ron, Zili and Sane want to put their co-conspirator Amari on the throne. Amari is a Tian and a runaway princess. Her mother, Queen Nihanda, agrees with this plan. Amari makes her rule official when she finds out that Nihanda is probably dead because a group of Maji rebels called the Aika attacked the main city, Lagos. This is where Nihanda lived. During Amari's speech, Nihanda comes in, calls for Amari's death, and shows that she's a very strong Titan by almost bringing a domed building down on Amari and her group. Amari can't pay Ron for his help, so he leaves, and Zili screams that they have to leave the country. She gets on Nayla, her Leonere, and gallops away, but the animal flies into a tree. Zili wakes up in the dream world of Amari's brother Inan, whom everyone thought was dead. Baba died because Inan lied to him, so Zili makes black roots that choke Inan. Inan wakes up in the palace at Lagos and finds that the kingdom is at war with the Aika, but that Nihanda is ruling as queen and Ojor, Inan's adopted cousin, is at the palace. A few days later, Inan gets ready to take the throne. He wears the clothes of his violent and cruel father, King Saran, whom Amari killed. Ojor is very angry that Inan is a Titan. Before the raid, Burner Maji killed Ojor's parents. Inan sits on his chair, plays with the bronze coin that Zili gave him, and tells the monarchy to make food for everyone. When Ojor finds a Maji girl named Raifa stealing, Inan says that any Aika who leave will get twice as much food. Zili wakes up in the real world and tells Amari that Inan is still living and that she plans to kill him. Zili, Amari, and Sane are getting ready to free Maji prisoners from a fort, but Ron shows up on behalf of the Aika, who paid him to bring Zili back. A few days later, Zili and the others meet the Aika. Zili finds out that her childhood guide, Mama Agba, was the one who started the group. Mama Agba takes the people who are with Zili to a safe place called the Isle Ijasin. Zili talks with the clan leaders of the other groups. Naima, an older tamer, has a note from Raifa about Inan's offer to give them food. Zili says that Inan is a liar, and when Amari tries to defend her brother, the connector elder Ramaya tells her that she is not welcome as a Titan and a princess. After a few days, Raifa sets fire to the food in Lagos. Inan and Ojor sneak out of Lagos to find Aika's hiding place so they can get back at him. Burners set up a trap for them, but Inan's magic breaks his arm and saves his and Ojor's lives. Amari pleads with Zili to show her how to use her magic. Their practice doesn't go well because Amari's ash burns her. Zili says that when a Maji uses Yoruba spells to release their ash, it's like removing a small piece of a dam, but when a Titan uses magic, it's like removing the whole dam. Amari wants to learn Yoruba, but Zili says that it is holy to the Maji and she can't teach Amari. Zili gives in the end. Mama Agba holds a ceremony the next day to make Zili the elder of the Reaper group. Mazali, a teenage boy who was the elder before Zili, steps down to become Zili's second. During Zili's spaya, a vision given to her by a god, the god Oya shows her how different strands of light twist together. The Aika find out what Inan did to Raifa's station during the party. Amari wants to talk to Inan, but Ramaya makes Amari afraid. Amari asks Ramaya to compete for the role of Connector Master. Amari loses control during the fight and puts Ramaya to sleep. Healers won't help Amari's bruises get better for days, so she stays in her room. Zili goes to see Amari before an elder meeting and tells her that magic isn't about power, that's why the government tries to kill Maji, and Titans can't just learn it. Amari agrees to go to the elder meeting, but the other elders are rude and don't want to listen. Zili agrees with the other leaders that they can't trust Inan. She suggests that they go to the Chandambal temple and get spell scrolls. The older people left right away. At first, Inan, Nihanda, and General Jokoi are worried that the Aika are going to Lagos. However, Inan figures out that Chandambal is where they are going and sends a force there. Dakarai, an older seer, figures this out, and Amari comes up with a plan to dig into the temple. Even though they get into the temple, soldiers, including Inan, are after them. They fight General Jokoi before Zeely finds the spell that lets them get into the room with the scrolls and lock it. Amari says that they must burn the rest of the papers once they have all of them. When Amari touches Zeely, the two of them suddenly fly up. From Amari's chest comes a ribbon of blue light. When they get back to the ground, Zeely figures out what happened. Amari and Nihanda are what Zeely calls centers, or titans who can get power from other titans in the same group. She thinks Oya showed her this in her spya, and she thinks this is how they can beat Nihanda. Even though Zeely almost kills Inan, the Aika fight their way out of the temple. Nihanda ruins Chandambal after the Aika is gone. Later, Mama Agba says that Zeely turned on the Moonstone's power, which came from the gods. People can join their life forces or make centers with it, but they have to make a sacrifice. She thinks that Saran's death at Amari's hands was the sacrifice since Amari and Nihanda became centers after his death. Amari wants to talk to Inan, but Zeely and the other leaders say she can't. Mama Agba comes to see Zeely on the first morning of training. Mama Agba tells Zeely that she is still good enough to lead her clan even though she put Mazeli in danger at Chandambal. Zeely asks if she can use the Moonstone to combine different kinds of magic. Mama Agba says it's a bad idea because when Maji and Magicite were combined before, they made deadly Magicite. Zeely calls up shadows with the help of her three Reapers, Mazeli, Bimp, and Mari. Amari goes to Zeely at the end of the day to get help understanding the spell for making a dreamscape. When Zeely finds out that Amari wants to use the scroll to talk to Inan, she destroys it, saying that Inan only does the right thing when it's easy and will always betray them. Mama Agba soothes Amari and tells her that she needs to understand that Zeely and Inan are just the most recent people to fight in a war that has been going on for hundreds of years. She also tells Amari that she doesn't need incantations because she is a center. Inan struggles to stay awake for a council meeting and to talk to Ojor, who is angry that Inan couldn't kill Zeely and Amari at Chandambal. When Inan goes to sleep, he wakes up in Amari's dream world. Inan says he will bring the Aika a treaty. The next day, Zeely sees Amari sneaking away while she is practicing with her Reapers. She finds Inan when she follows Amari. Zeely is angry, but she can see that the deal is good. Horns sound before she can say anything. Inan's troops are coming. Amari thinks that Zeely was right not to trust Inan, so she uses her skills as a center to draw on his ash and starts to attack the soldiers. General Jokoi, a winder and a center, launches a scary attack while Zeely and Mazeli fight bravely. Zeely and Mazeli talk to each other by using the Moonstone. It lets them win, but Mazeli dies from the stress, and Zeely only lives because Mama Agba breaks the link. Amari thinks she messed up everything, and Inan thinks Aika need to die. 3 days later, every time Zeely tries to wash Mazeli's blood off, she gets scared. Ron lets himself in, helps her get some air and clean up, and tells her about new information. Zeely runs downstairs to the elders' meeting to tell them that Inan and his army are breaking up between Lagos and the village of Ibadan. This gives them a chance to get away from Orsha. Amari says they should fight instead, even though Inan is an easy target in Ibadan and Lagos isn't well protected. The adults agree with Amari and have a party to celebrate. Zeely tries to join in, but she and Ron end up diving and riding a whale instead. Back at Zeely's room, she asks Ron to stay, but when they start taking off each other's clothes, she gets scared. She insults him to keep her heart from breaking, and he leaves. Zeely plans to go to Ibadan with the elders while the rest of the forces go to Lagos. She goes with the tighter leader now and Ron when they dive into caves underground to try to get into the valley. But Ron, who is mad at Zeely, yells at her to stop playing the victim and pushes forward, setting off bombs that cause the cave to fall. Mama, Baba, and Mazali show Zili as she drowns that the bombs were put there by the government. Zili suddenly wants to live, so she breaks free and goes to find Ron. He is almost dead and stuck, so Zili cuts off his stuck arm and pulls him to safety. As Ron is dying, Zili sees a flash of gold, which makes her think of her spia. She thinks Oya showed her Ron, so she asks the Moonstone to connect her life force to Ron's. At the same time, in Ibadan, Nihanda tells Inan that she caused the raid by setting burners on lords, which ended peace talks between the Maji and the monarchy. Inan is shocked, and he is even more shocked when he finds out that Ojor heard Nihanda's statement. Ojor tells Inan that he is a titan and tries to kill him, but Nihanda kills him first. When the bombs go off, they run away, but Amari doesn't know this and has a plan to kill Inan and Nihanda by sacrificing the people of Ibadan. She and two Maji, Jahi and Imani, send a tornado of cancer to Ibadan. It hits just as Zili and Ron stumble into the town. In the well, Zili saves as many people as she can. When the clouds clear, Amari and Zili see the note from the monarchy. They have the other Aika rebels in Lagos. Amari is locked up by the elders, and healers try to save Zili and Ron. As Tsain and two other seniors, Kamar and Connie, agree to join their life forces with Zili, Zili knows that this is what Oya showed her, that they can use the Moonstone to bring all the elders' life forces together. The dead people can be brought back to life by Zili and Connie, a healer. Ron fires his group of mercenaries and says that he will go with Zili. Later, Zili goes to Amari's cell and tells him what they're going to do with the Moonstone. Amari figures out that they need a sacrifice and offers to be the one, but Zili says no. Mama Agba steps in and says that she will be the offering. She now knows that she saw herself acting in this way in her spia. The ritual is done by Zili and the elders, and their hearts beat at the same time. The elders sail to Lagos. On the way, they pass Zili and Tsain's old town, Ilorin, which was burned down, but they see that Zili's house has been rebuilt. Zili finds that Inan fixed it up and put her letters and the copper coin she gave him there after he was done. He says that he is getting rid of the government. In Lagos, Inan puts a drug that makes people sleepy in Nihanda's drink. As he starts to talk to the lords in the room, explosions can be heard outside. Zili and the elders work together to destroy the army and defenses of the kingdom. They get into the house quickly. Nihanda taunts Amari when she runs into her, but Amari tells her that she can choose to be a better queen. In the basement, the elders find Aika, who they had taken prisoner, and Inan finds Zili. Zili starts to take Inan's life force and kill him, but Ron runs at her with a breathing mask on and a moving white cloud behind him. When the cloud hits Ron and Zili, they pass out, and Zili wakes up a while later chained in a ship at sea.
About the author. Before Adeyemi was born, her parents moved from Nigeria to the United States. Even though her father was a doctor in Nigeria, when Adeyemi was a child, both of her parents did low-paying jobs. As a child, Adeyemi's parents didn't teach her much about Nigerian culture, but she later embraced it. After winning a number of prestigious scholarships and educational opportunities in high school and college, she went to Brazil on a fellowship to study West African mythology and culture. Adeyemi has been writing stories since she was a child, but when she quit her job at a film production company in Los Angeles to write a book, her parents were not happy. Even though her first novel didn't do well and was never published, she wrote her second, Children of Blood and Bone, to send to Pitch Wars. This is a program that helps new writers get their books ready to send to a publisher by matching them with editors and other help. The book went straight to the top of the New York Times list for young adults. It won a lot of awards, and the publishing deal and film deal that came with it were some of the biggest for a first young adult work ever. Adeyemi lives in the U.S. city of San Diego.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.